G'day, doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. It's episode 3 for 2025. No doubt a lot of people will be watching the cricket tonight, and I haven't shared this with anyone as yet. So, welcome to anyone who joins tonight or gets to watch this later on. We are launching our 2025 competition round one side. Who will be the round one team that Ciraldos announces? So we'll have to see who that'll be. In the meanwhile, in the meantime, I'll just be sharing this with a few people to let them know, because I had no idea I was coming on tonight, but decided I would anyway. I'll also do another video to explain, uh, the competition in a bit more detail, and we'll just stick on that. But look, I'm getting pumped for the first 2 rounds of the trials. So we want to do this competition before we see the trials. It's sort of like an early prediction and see how close some of us can get. I'll show you my team as well. But look, no doubt a lot of people will be watching this, watching the cricket tonight, with the Sydney Thunder and the Hobart Hurricanes playing, which should be awesome. So this competition will run the day before or the night before the trial, the first trial, and we'll see how it all goes from there. So just inviting a few people, a few of the regulars. Sorry if I miss anyone. And soon we'll be getting some of the regulars to come back on. Now I'm thinking of reaching out to the chairman of the club, the new chairman, Joycey, because we've just seen some proposed changes to the constitution, which a lot of people are having a bit of an issue with. I personally think they're both a good idea, and the reason I say that is stability is a good thing, and the constitution was created when there wasn't so many members as there is now, and I think it's a little bit unnerving that you only need 100 people to create an emergency general meeting. So, but not everyone has to agree with that, and most people won't. Most of the voting people will not be voting to change anything, I'm sure. I also think there should be 3-year terms for the board. Good boards or bad boards, I think um, you need a real chance to be able to, you know, implement change, and that's really hard when you come from the bottom. G'day, Jamie. Welcome, mate. Hope all's been well with you. Come say hello on the chat, guys, if you got any questions or burning thoughts. But look, let's get straight into it. I'll put my team up about who I think is going to play round one. So we've got Connor Tracy, Jacob Perez, Bronson Cherry, Stephen Crichton, Marcelo Montoya, Matt Burton, Toby Sexton, Max King, Reid Marnie, Samuel Hughes, Williami Kickow, Jacob Preston, Kurt Mann, Bailey Hayward, Satili Tupanua, Josh Curran, Tom Amone, and 18th man Curtis Warren. Look, for some reason, that's what I think the team will be. There's probably a big chance that what's his name? Bloody Jamin Salmon will make that side, being a bit of a favourite. G'day, Dave. Welcome, mate. Welcome to you. Sorry, guys, just sharing with people as we speak to see what people think. But look, you'll have nothing to lose to go into this comp, everything to gain. Got some calendars there to choose from. I've got, you know, even Timmy's got some jerseys for sale, but I think he just said that he might have sold them, so that's well done, buddy. I might have a few to sell or give away myself later this year as well. But g'day D, welcome mate. Hope everyone had a good public holiday. Had a good time yesterday. If you're celebrating, I tend to celebrate the day off as much as I can. Did a bit of work today though. So we've got a few of us on here, which is good. A lot of the regulars, which makes me really happy. And back on the StreamYard, so a little bit more. I know that I can have people come back on and join the discussion. I'm sure Pete's watching the cricket tonight, I'd say, and probably Mark would be as well. We'll see what happens. But happy odd day, Tim. I think everyone's got nothing to lose. And look, Mr. It's Me, who made an appearance last week, he won the comp last year, but chose to sort of talk after that because he didn't want me to have to part with my stuff. And that's up to you. So if you do win, just let me know that you want me to give it to somebody else or something like that, and I will. We could have a couple of winners. Last year was we got quite a lot of entries. I think we had over 100. So looking to increase the amount of entries we get this year, which would be good. And all you got to do is just put the comment in if you want to share it and that sort of stuff. I won't like that's the rules, but I probably won't check unless you win. I'll just check that the winner has done that, and then if you do win and you haven't done it, I'll give you the opportunity to do it. Obviously, it's good to get the word out there, and we want to bring people onto the channel that want to have a chat and communicate and that sort of stuff. Just got some NRL news come through. It looks like Gula from the Raiders is off to the Dragons, and he'll be a good player for them. So I think the Dragons are trying to. They've got that experience in their side. They're going to finish last, and if their forwards do the job, the halves they've got will be able to kick them into areas they need to go. Be able to get plays happening. I think Lachlan Elliott is a pretty good player, and I think Lachlan and Kyle are probably two of the best defensive halves in the comp. As far as asking questions with the ball as a runner, I think that's where they lack. But I'm sure we'll see someone emerge into that sort of role. I don't believe Elias and Flanagan will be playing half and 5'8" come the business end of the season. But tell me your thoughts. Anyone got any thoughts on the Bulldogs at the moment? One thing I've been impressed with, there has been a lot bigger commitment to the social media side of things. We're definitely seeing a lot more posts and stuff like that. Also seeing the website launch quite a few little, videos and stuff like that from the past and from the history, which is always good to watch. And it's good especially for the younger generation, just to see why the club has such high expectations. Why your parents, many of us who followed, our parents followed as well, and their parents followed the team. But through that period of the late 70s, and I know we do. I don't talk much about the Les Johns era and all that, which he was obviously one of the greats of the game and one of our best ever. But from that late 70s through to the 80s, and then pretty much periods in each decade, the Dogs had a very high expectation of being a tough team, a talented team, a team that would never give up, and a team that could score points when required. And having been called lots of different names, we do have an aura about us, and that aura is definitely emerging again. um, but it can disappear. One would have felt that Broncos aura was back last year, from what they did in 2023. They definitely had something about them. Kevy going well, on an upward trajectory, and then the Bulldogs minus Stephen Crichton and quite a few players went to Lang Park against what I consider their full strength side and absolutely annihilated them. And that's now the expectation we've got on us. That's the sort of result that Dogs fans want to see more often than not. And unfortunately, um, I think those sort of performances will happen, but they won't be every week. I think we've still got a long way to go. Um, there was some news that come through that the women's inaugural NRL side, women's NRL team, the coach had a big pedigree of the Roosters. He's parted way with the Dogs already. Tony Adams, the mole, was talking about it under whatever word he uses. Didn't mention the name, but basically that's what he was talking about. We've had quite a few issues with the women's side. Barry Ward was there last year. He had a huge clash with Harvey Norman's women's coach, and both of them ended up leaving the club. Ward got sacked from his position. And then basically they told the other guy that he had. It all come down to the roles they had to do, and there was quite a lot of animosity there. And they brought in the new guy, and now he's left as well, and we don't know why. So I think, well, I don't know. From in my gut, it might be a huge role that the person has to take on, and they might not have. Maybe they don't have all the resources they need. I don't know. It could be something completely different. Clash of ideas, clash of minds amongst the women. I don't know. We had a really successful Lisa Fiola team come through, and who were smashing absolutely everyone, and to the point where they were winning games by 90-0. And they kept rolling out their best side every week, and there were a lot of girls who didn't get a go, who could have been got a go. Heard that from a couple of the parents along the grapevine. So say what you will, but young kids, families, people aren't unhappy. There's two, you know, iron sharpens iron. If you're not the best, you don't get to go. That's definitely, I think, the line the club takes. And if there's something not right there, they're just not gonna persevere with it. They're gonna get rid of it and get something in that's better. So I trust the club doing the right thing. And there's also you never know. The coach might have parted ways because he had another offer, or we just don't know. But maybe we don't have the right to know either. We don't have to know everything. But people are going to assume what they want to assume. So that's enough about that. Timmy, I watched an old Dragons versus Bulldogs game from 1999, the likes of Brick, Clyde, and Heverington. Yeah, mate. They had some really good clashes that year. 99 was one of the most frustrating years that I've ever had. I've talked about it quite a bit. I felt we just could never get going, but at our best, I felt had one of the best lineups in the comp. And I, to this day, cannot believe that a Ricky Stewart kick leading in an elimination semi-final. We won the semi the week before quite easily. Had Melbourne beaten. To me, they were a good, tough side, and they were good and tough from the time they come in under Chris Anderson. Had Lazarus at the helm. That was their second season. And we had them beaten. And for Matt Guy to run that far and for them to score just was horrible because Ricky Stewart and Bradley Clyde had just come to the club after we had that amazing run in 1998. And, they didn't have a great year, but they definitely had had a lot of influence on our club. Um, and then we saw the emergence after that of players like Willie Mason and Braithen Ascar. I think 2000 was a real. I can't remember what happened in 2000. I don't think it was too good. My brain's memory's gone a bit from there, but we started to emerge with Braithen Ascar coming through, and then Willie Mason, Roy Asatasi, and then over the next, Nigel Buckingham come to the club and was a huge hit. Andrew Ryan come to the club. Stephen Price, from that 1998 season where he sort of come in halfway through, started getting regular minutes. Young guy to start becoming a real enforcer in the side, real hard worker. Players like, Tony Grimaldi and all that sort of stuff. Corey Hughes still there after he played such a big part. There was, a lot to like about the Bulldogs at that time. And the Dragons that year were pretty bloody entertaining, I must say. Blacklock and Mundine doing their jumping in the air and stuff, and Mundine talking about how he's the best 5'8" in the comp, and they should have won that grand final. And I honestly believe it should have been a Dragons Bulldogs grand final that year. I really believe that. I think that's what would have happened had we beaten the Storm. I think we would have went all the way, and I don't know if the Dragons would have beaten us, to be honest. Like, it's just an opportunity missed that season. But you never know. Yeah, but that's another one, Shifty Sherwin. How can you forget him? I remember watching him in coming through in 1998. Shifty. I watched him in a reserve grade game. It was 14,000 at the new Homebush Stadium in 1999. Actually, I watched him, and I think that's when he made his debut that day. And he was one to come through. We smashed West that day, I think 44-14 or something like that. I was up high in the stands with my brother and me goddaughter. But I remember his debut. So really good player, and he's got a bit to do with the club at the moment. And a lot of people are singing his praises and in the way that he helps with the. I think he's helped a bit with the Halves Academy and stuff like that. Yeah, Daryl was a really good player to have in the club at that time as well, mate. The stuff that he did with South Sydney, and definitely a lot of experience. Elusive player, tough little player. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the game's changed a lot since then. There's nowhere to hide for these little fellas anymore. They've got to make their tackles like they always have had to, and but playing in the line. That's why you see a player like these Nathan Clearys and the Burtons and that. They're not small, and they're playing in the halves, and doing things that little men used to do back in the day. The players are definitely getting bigger, but at the same time, we're looking for more mobility in our pack, and going off what some of that stuff that Willie Mason was talking about on the podcast with Horro or Scope or whatever he calls himself. The big man is under threat unless he's just an absolute, robot like a Tino or a Huss or a Carrigan. There's not too many of them that can play big minutes and have a really good impact. And it's more of a headache I think the way Ciraldos just looked at it, it's like, I need people who just keep getting back in the line, keep tackling, making their tackles, and enough talent out there to work the rest out. We've got enough weapons. If we can't make the yard, Burton will kick us out of trouble. Our line speed will remain intact. Our confidence in our system will eventually crack the opposition. And then when we get an opportunity, we've got the people who can make it work. And we'll see how that goes. Timmy, those two are next wave halves along with Brave JT after Polymar and Stewart retired. 100%, buddy. Yeah, let's talk a lot about JT because living here in Brisbane when he emerged, watching him in a playing for New South Wales against Queensland, um, was interesting. Just watching him in a trial at Toowoomba against the Broncos, um, just wanting him to get his debut, and he just a good player. I think he played in that first game against the Eels as well when Sonny Bill run amok. Thurston was there, and they were linked. I just could have. I was just thinking back, if and a lot of Bulldogs fans have felt similar. How much of a threat would we have been with those 2 3 or 4 years after they debuted, you know? I know, can't change the past, but it's a nice thought. Sonny Bill running off JT. Timmy says, "All I can remember is from 2000, Darryl Halleck's point scoring record." Yeah, mate, and, he kicked some very important goals, I can tell you that much. So, alright. What I might do is just put some videos in the background. Um, I'm liking some of this social media stuff that I'm seeing. There's Harry Hayes. He's another one who's probably been forgotten that could definitely be someone who plays a big part. The emergence of Jonathan Sewer on the wings, and a lot of stuff with the halves. But I suppose one good thing to talk about is the halves and who's going to play this year and what's going on with Toby Sexton. So I've got my thoughts on it, and people could feel free to share yours as well. I think are looking to extend Toby Sexton, but it does worry me that it hasn't been done as yet. I don't believe Mitch Woods that they expect he'll play first grade for a couple of years, and I felt that, like, if you went and listened to Willie Mason's podcast, it definitely basically says that, and he's pretty vague on it, but makes some really important points that that Gus isn't interested in starting these young kids. There's a whole bunch of kids that are more ready defensively, and if they can't tackle, there's nowhere to hide out there. So, looking at the footage of the youngsters coming through, the likes of Cassius Tia look like they're pretty much ready to go, uh, or to be at that level that Joey O'Neill was at last year. Joey O'Neill to be at the level that Bailey Haywood was at last year. That's I think that's how their fitness goes. I think that's how they're managing these kids. I think they wanna debut them, based on a level that they're at. So the boxes that they're ticking physically, as well as mentally, but more so the physical things. So, are they nailing all the reps? Making trying things, making the plays, doing the basics over and over again? Are they leading the fitness? Are they leading the boys out there, that sort of stuff? Um, are they and where are they in regards to all this? So, as I said, the Bailey Haywood from 2023 playing New South Wales Cup to the one we saw in 2024, it was almost like 100% improvement, especially defensively. And just going and watching those games and watching the line speed of the Marnies, of the Kurtmans, of of the Bailey Haywoods to be able to get down low, get right off the line and put pressure on some big boys as well, to chop them down quickly before they can get their momentum and get things going. There's a way around that too, you leave yourself exposed. If you're doing that on the smaller players, they're gonna step you, they're gonna get around you, and there's gonna be some big boys with footwork who get around it as well, but I was just the way that they were all able to do that, the Salmons, the Haywoods, the Marnies, the sort of the guys playing that role. Kurt Mann's, the killer Kurt Mann, his defence, second to none. So, look, I think Joey O'Neill, I don't know if Joey's going to be playing the small lock role as a Bailey Hayward did. I see him more as a running creative half, a lot of attacking flair, and I believe that he will be at a defensive level that Hayward was at last year. He will rise close to that level, and I expect the likes of Woods and Tia in that sort of maybe Tia ahead of Woods to be sort of following in those footsteps. And I do believe a player like Drew Hutchison will come in before any of the young kids. Potentially, even if Matt Burton has to move to 7 for a game, or they bring a young kid up and he wears the 6, but he plays like the 7. If that's got to be the case, that'll be the case. That's what they'll have to do. The only thing that stops that is if Mitchell Woods is in New South Wales Cup and he's putting people through holes, he's tackling the big blokes, isolating him one-on-one, running at him, and he's meeting the task head on. If he's doing that and doing it effectively and backing up week in, week out, and getting bigger, getting stronger, and he says you have to pick me, I think that's what a lot of people expect. My expectation is that will be a 2-year process, and then about another 3 to 4 year process of him becoming the player that they expect him to become. You look at Mitchell Moses before he went to Parramatta. Everyone knew that he had the speed and had the game, but he is only just asserting himself now as a top 5 halfback in the comp, and that's how long it takes, right? But you can win a comp with a halfback like Shane Perry. You can win a comp with a halfback like Sean Townsend, Chad Townsend, I should say. You can win a comp with these players. You can make a grand final with those players. It's a Timmy show tonight, and I'm glad you're here, Tim, because I'm getting a bit lonely because no one else is saying anything. That's all good, mate. I should have got you to come on and have a chat. The club should sign Cassiano up to play in the halves after he turned back the clock on the weekend in the Nines tournament. No, 100% agree with you, though. Woods is a few years away physically. Yeah. I think he is. I really do think he is. I like watching this footage, though, of the boys gripping in. Maybe we'll find something else. Have a little look. Have a look at some other footage in a second. But I hope I really do hope people put their teams up and we get to I suppose I could play some stuff that Justin Horro said as well. Hopefully they won't put up a copyright strike or anything. It would be a bit stuff, but I'm just promoting their channel at the end of the day. Let's have a look at that. Let's play some stuff, and this is another good podcast to come and check out, guys. So let's present this.
Then the next year,
it goes for about 3 minutes.
Dogs avoid the trend of teams that have overachieved 1 year
and then dropped off the following. My examples are the 2022 Cowboys and the 2023 Warriors.
Couldn't have used a better example. Everybody, like, just say when I said when the Warriors had that.
Avoid the trend of teams that have overachieved.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Sorry about
that great year in 23, and it's like, yeah, they had like.
Avoid the trend of teams that have overachieved.
All right, so the question is, will the Bulldogs be like the other sides that stuffed up? So, you know, the Cowboys, I suppose you say the Eels as well, but they'd been making the finals year in, year out, then made a grand final and then dropped off. But we had the Cowboys come up. And then we had the Warriors come up. Now the Bulldogs were the team that come from nowhere. Will they drop off? Let's listen to what these guys have to say.
Avoid the trend of teams that have overachieved one year and then dropped off the following. My examples are the 2022 Cowboys and the 2023 Warriors.
Couldn't have used a better example. Everybody, like, just say when I said when the Warriors had that great year in 23, and it's like, yeah, they had like 7 players in the Dally M. One nearly won the Dally M, and there was about 7 players that were voted in their position. So they're the best in their position. The next year, no one was probably involved in that. Maybe one, you know, Wade Egan had his best year for Newell Blake, SJ, Selesniak, or, you know, a heap of back rolls, all that sort of shit. And then the next year, hardly anyone didn't make the 8. Right.
So what do you reckon it is? So
I think it's coaching, it's consistency, it's
what's the most important factor?
It's what they're doing now. It's just working on the same things, habits. It's reps after reps. It's the same shit that they've been doing for 3 years. But who's to say Birdo and Kickow, Reed Marnie, they're key players, right, have the fucking best years of all time? Like, we don't know that. And they're the uncontrollable. You can't control them. And I'm like, oh, this is where I'm thinking, I'm like, if they do have it, I'm always thinking, like, if they do have killer years and everybody just comes, they'll make the top 4 if they're consistent, because they believe in their defensive system. And then at the end of the games, you just rely on that skill of a Crichton or a Kickow, or, you know, your best players. And most teams are like that. You just there's a lot of role players mixed in with some superstars in every single team.
A lot of luck factors into it.
A lot of luck. A lot of, exactly, you know, like, you
need to get the rub of the green on it early on in season.
And we did. Like, and
you have to earn it, though.
Yeah, they earn every fucking game. They work so hard. And because just say the year before they were working so hard, they weren't getting the result. It's defeating. Last year, working hard, just getting the result.
Just
getting toweling a couple of teams up, getting real confident, knowing they can fucking play, and belief starts happening. And this is how you build a club. This is what's happening in the club right now. The belief is like, hey, fucking don't worry about top 8, top 4. Don't worry about the first semi. Get the prelim, grand final. Like that's the mentality of all the players now, right? Because they know what they can do. They can hang with the big boys. You know, like, they're going to look at, you know, you're going to have Penrith. They're not scared. They're not scared of Penrith. They're not scared of Melbourne. They're not scared of anyone.
Oh yeah, you know, as crazy as that seems to people listening, I think they would be more excited about Penrith, Storm. Now they're in this position.
The big dogs.
This is the worry with teams that overachieve. Then you start forgetting about the teams that are down the bottom. And you lose against the Tigers.
They're the ones
you lose against the Eels. You lose against these teams you shouldn't lose against because you think you're better than them.
Yeah.
But it's only 1 year.
That's what coaching is.
Nothing is given. Everyone starts off fresh. You're not as good as you think you are. And if you get checked early and you get a reality check, you start to think, holy shit, maybe we're not as good as we were last year. And that's the problem.
That is the problem with some clubs. I just think it's not going to be the problem with us, because I think the coaching, it's the coaching. It's serious.
So there you go, guys. Pretty interesting stuff from Willie and Scope. So, and I have to agree. But I know, look, Willie's got a huge amount of faith in Ciro, and so does the club, and so should they. But Ciro, as a coach, from what I can see, will continually be trying to get better all the time. He'll have some ups and downs. He'll wear the blame for some things, and you know, whether rightfully or wrongfully. But we'll see. We'll see how we go. We've got less excuses this year. We've got a better draw. There's more opportunities for fans to get out there as well. There's more TV games. There's more promotion of the Bulldogs. And these players have to take that challenge on and deliver. And just like the last couple of years, as far as I'm concerned, whilst it hasn't played out that way, there's been a clear top 2 at the end of the year. I've felt that the competition has been far more harder to pick a winner week in, week out than ever before. And a lot of teams are sort of in that bunch from the bottom to maybe to the top 8, to the bottom part of the 8. You know, it's a real nightmare to see who they're going to be. And I think that's even harder this year with the West Tigers getting a lot of recruits, Penrith losing a couple of players, Broncos a new coach, South getting Wayne back, you know, lots of stuff. Well, the Dolphins who should, you know, having a young half who's just going to get better every year, some really young wingers and centres with a lot of speed out wide, some really tough forwards in their pack. You know, they've got an opportunity to keep scaling up as well. The Dragons done a lot of recruitment, got a lot of experience in their side, and still have a lot of good youth in there. You know, it's hard to discount anyone. Parramatta, one of the fastest backlines in the comp now, recruiting really well, with a lot of players with a lot to prove, especially some Bulldogs that have gone there will have a lot to prove. And, you know, I rate those Bulldogs a bit more than the ones that have headed off to the Dragons. So, but we'll say good day to Jeffrey McClay. Thanks for joining the podcast, mate, and saying hello. If anyone who hasn't subscribed, please do. Like, I feel like a dickhead saying it, but you know, we're about, let's get to 1,000. I'd like to see that. That'd be nice. It's good recognition. My daughter will think it's amazing. But it's more about the community we get together and the amount of people that get to share with me and share their knowledge and remind me of things and teach me and learn. That's I just love talking about footy, and most of the stuff I say is just a regurgitation of what other people have said or what other people have thought. I do for over a long period of time though, and I do see some things which do open up some people's eyes, and some people are already there and seeing it way before I saw it. So it's about sharing that knowledge and trying to be respectful to the club as much as possible, and understanding that, you know, you can't win all the time, but nor should you be losing all the time as well. So we're going on that pathway back, and and it's good to be a part of that journey and to support the club. And one thing I say, if you're going to rubbish players in our club right now, like the Hutchisons or the Salmons or whoever it is, the Montoyas or whoever you want to rubbish, just remember, and this is what I always say, some of their best mates are also your favourite players. And whilst they understand it and they get the frustration, and they get it's just words and they switch off to it, they're out there working their ass for you. If you want them to work that, want them to keep doing that, be fucking kind and respectful to their mates. They standing up for their mates just as much as the club and just as much as the fans, is because it's that type of sport. You're in the trenches, and if you don't have that camaraderie and that respect amongst each other, you can't win. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And we saw it with the 95 Bulldogs. We've heard about it in depth. They were a side that was the minor premiers the year before, got their asses handed to them in the grand final. They played their grand final in the prelim to be first into the grand final, or one of the first teams, and then got smacked in the grand final by the team they beat to get there. Then the next year we're expected to win. Had a lot of stuff happen off the field, a lot of turmoil. People, you know, signing with Super League. The club signed with Super League, but players signing with the NRL, with the ARL, and they had to get their act together. They went and got on the piss, became best mates again, fell in love with each other, and went out and smashed every team from then on, except for the Dragons in the first round, which we were lucky to win that match, which Teller still goes on about. But obviously, two teams that were really, really competitive. Had to play them in the bottom half of the ladder. We got away with that one. Smashed the rest of the sides through to the grand final. And nothing changes from there. So there we go. Timmy, my 17 or 18 side for round one is similar to your lineup. Still not sure whether Cyril will go with Salmon over Hayward. Well, listening to Willie, he was like, he's like Haywood's there sort of thing. But we'll see. We will see. I still think there's a chance that Preston could start from the bench and Satelli's going to be one that starts. But we'll see. Tim says, I believe we'll continue to improve. I feel that they will after reading Ivan Cleary's book. There's a lot about mentality and repetitive drills that will ensure that they are at their fittest. It's definitely something, muscle memory, and Ivan can talk about it like he owns that concept. But I know Phil Gould was one of the ones that talked about that a lot. And I know from stuff I watched with talk about Shane Warne, how he was able to just keep putting the ball where he needed to go and just, just stick them with a process. And we use that word a lot. And once you get that into your repertoire where you know you can do everything, do all the stuff, and you keep doing it, and you just have that ability to just be consistent at a really high level, play upon play upon play upon play. This is what they talk about. But when you have that in like under control, you never stop trying to get better. But when you've got that in you, and it's why halves do excel towards the second half, after 100 games is when you start to see them emerge and be their best. Then they have this lack of fear of being dropped, right? And they can be at their best because they can try things. And if they fail, it doesn't matter. And I always said that, like, Gould brought certain players to that club in order to teach the superstar kids that he knew were going to be superstars the real lessons, the 1% lessons they needed to know to take that next level and be at that next level. They say that James Maloney coming to the club for Nathan Cleary was one of the best things because Nathan is a perfectionist, whereas James, he knows what perfection looks like, and he's not afraid to try and to get it at any point. And if he fails, he hasn't failed because he'll just try it again. And Gould talked a lot about James Maloney having like that Dory. He's like a Dory the fish, he just forget. He had short-term memory. He didn't drop his lollies, didn't drag his feet on, when he fucked up. And that was lessons that they needed to teach players like that. And Gus isn't the only one who's had those sort of feelings. There's some great coaches out there, some great minds way before the NRL, which have had some of these principles and applied them. A lot of great coaches out there in a lot of different sports, and you can get a lot from just reading their books on sale at all good bookstores. I know Charlesworth, the hockey coach, absolute gun coach. And anyone who wants to coach sport, business, anything like that, go read it. Go read his books. Jeff says, no, wait, no, they won't. I think they have adopted a no dickhead policy in the club now, and Sarah brings out the best in them, and Satili Tupanua will make a huge difference. I think he will. Satili's definitely not a dickhead. D, g'day, brother. The difference for me with those other teams is we have been planning to peak in future years. We've planned sustained success. I can only see us improving. And I'd have to agree with you, brother. G'day again. Oh, you're saying hello, Jeff. Timmy, I know it's off topic, but do you know who is coaching the Indigenous All-Stars team? I'm going with a mate to Comback to watch the Maori All-Stars versus Indigenous All-Stars. One of my favourite games of the year. And it's the reason being it's just so early on. It's before the season starts. I'm really looking for rugby league and to get my dose. But let's see. I'm just going to Google it, Timmy. See if it's up there. I really don't know. We got the match center. No, I don't know. If anyone knows, please help us out and let us know. 3-2 to the Indigenous. Always close games. Generally. Usually not more than 6 points in it. And I can't wait. But we will see. We will see. So, guys, get your sides up on YouTube onto this. There'll also be another video that I'll release. I'll probably have some stuff regarding my team flashing up. But yeah, and look, it doesn't matter if you have the same team as me. If it wins, you'll be winning on your own. If there's 2 or 3 winners, if I've got enough merch, I can give it to everyone who wins, or if I have to do a random draw thing or whatever. But we'll share this on the Facebook groups as well. People will probably comment straight on there, and if you do that, that's fine. Preferably, you'll do it on the YouTube video because it always helps. But no problem if you just do it on the Facebook group that you're on. No drama at all. I'm not too worried about that sort of stuff, but I love sharing me stuff. I've sent a bit of merch to a few mates before, and it's always good to share the love. So, have we got anything else on the agenda? Yeah, Jeff, I don't think it'll be Laurie Daly this year because he's now coaching the New South Wales side. And I thought he was the coach before. So I think that's where this question may have actually come from. But it's great to have you on the channel, Jeff. Make sure you come and say hello when we're on again. I'll try and give more notice. If you join, subscribe, or if you become a member, people can do that if they want. I've got a couple of members there, which they get notifications and stuff. There's one there if you want the dog father to give you a call and talk some stuff. I've done that once before already to someone else, but which was good fun. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But if anyone, we'll probably leave it at that. People, 48 minutes. We've had a good chat. I do believe this will be the side that starts in round 1. I probably think completely different after the trials. Hopefully we dust up the Tigers and the Broncos. Whilst the trials don't really matter, it's still good. I'll be going, myself and the big fella Mark will be heading to Redcliffe to watch the game. So hopefully if there's any other Bulldogs people there, we might be able to say hello or whatever. But I'll be keeping pretty low profile as I usually do. And yeah, we're looking forward to smashing the Dolphins. I love the dog father too, Timmy. He's he's been very quiet, but no news is good news. He's still got a big thing for Bulldogs' most famous fan in Margot Robbie. So there you go. But yeah, I'm so excited. Satili Tupanua is an interesting one. I've still got this fear he might start on that right edge and Preston might come off the bench, and it may not be a bad thing. But see him, I think bringing him into our club really is going to be great for the longevity of our back rowers. Obviously Kickow at some point will be becoming, getting a lot older, and these youngsters will be taking over the realm. And there's some tough kids coming through the Josh Jackson Academy, as Gus called it, because and he's already basically, what he tells the club regarding a player is going to hold a lot of stead. So if you see a player that's been playing under Josh Jackson and they leave the club, it's probably because Josh has basically said, let him go. I'll just give you the insight on that right now. So I think he has really established himself already. We hear how glowingly Gus talks about him, but, and it's not just a one-man dictatorship on anything, but I think they can trust Josh Jackson in who's got the mettle to keep going further towards an NRL career and who hasn't. And whilst we've got a lot of great people, we've got Shrek, we've got, we've got Steve Turner, Willie's involved as well. A lot of really good minds out there. I think Mick Potter's still the New South Wales Rugby League coach, but I'm not sure. That's something I haven't heard this year either. If anyone's got any words on that, because I said happy birthday to Gus. Well, I didn't say it, but the dog father did. He said happy birthday to Gus and asked if they announced who the Flag and New South Wales Cup coaches and that sort of thing are going to be this year. It's been a little bit quiet. Hopefully it's just business as usual. I think Potter's done a really good job. He's always been a good coach of men, and you've just seen players like Curtis Moran who thrived under Mick, and another player, Zach Docker Clay, brought through, who's gone to the Roosters, and they're going to re-sign him again. So, there's some good players out there that I think Mick Potter really did a good job for us. And if he's still there, I hope he is. But if not, we'll see what happens. Pretty sure Jason Taylor's still assistant coach, but I'm not sure. There seems there's a bit of stuff up in the air, which is interesting. Jeff says, do you think that young Todd and Underhill will get a run at some stage? Well, Jeff, I'll be doing a Jack Underhill. I'll be doing a Jack Underhill feature on a player watch. I've done one on Jack Todd. And, I wasn't 100% happy with it. I was a bit tired, but it came out all right. And I think I said everything I wanted to say. Showed some good footage of him. I went and watched the Jersey Flag for probably the fifth time since it happened. And I'll tell you what, Toyo Lalo, Gus talked about him on Twitter recently. I just focused on him for that first half pretty much. He was huge, absolutely huge through the middle. And I think he's another one to watch for sure coming through. He's got the goods. But we can't keep them all, and they're not all going to play first grade. But I tell you what, these kids are going to put some pressure on some pretty good players in front of them. And, if something happens to these players in front, we're going to have some pretty good players to come in and get their jobs and get their roles done. And I don't think, the leap to first grade, while it is huge, I think they will make the leap, especially Jack Underhill. I watched Underhill in that final. He got belted a few times, absolutely belted. But the way he throws himself like flies at a player around their waist, and it happened about 7 times in the match. It's just the desperation in his defense is second to none. And for him to make that final tackle when we were under the pump, when they were right on our line trying to score after they'd come back, the Sharks, that tackle that he made on the halfback, I think it was, won us the match. And I don't think it's his year for 2025, but he looks ripped. He looks ready to go. And one thing in his favour is he can play long minutes, and he did so in that match. So that's what they'll be looking to do, is to get him to play New South Wales Cup and see if he can play 70 minutes, 65 minutes, 80 minutes. If he can play nearly a full game in New South Wales Cup by the end of the season, he's someone who'll be able to make that jump whether it's for a game this year or a game next year. When he comes into the development squad, he'll be in development next year, I'm pretty sure, and then in top 30 the year after that. So, and he may be one they upgrade early, no doubt. Jack, obviously injuries are going to play a part, and I wouldn't rule out players like Luke Smith, who was the captain of the flag team last year. Harry Hayes was the captain the year before. It's no coincidence that those kids are, making their way through the grades. Ronald Griffiths is the coach of the All-Star teams. Thanks, Timmy. And you got the answer. Dave says, I think they're definitely a plan for Tottenham, possibly unable to get a run in first grade this year. Sweet, thanks. All right, if anyone's got any other questions, please let me know. I'm happy to have a chat, but I'll give you about 60 seconds. But outside of that, like, subscribe, and put in your team. You can win stuff. I've got those license plates with I've got Carraz, the Fox, and Preston. Part of me wants to really keep the Preston and the Carraz one, but if someone really wants it, I will send it off and they can have it. Probably might have an old jersey here if you want to get it to get signatures on it or something like that, rather than wearing it, because it's, unless you're a big fat fella like me. Got some hats. I've got calendars, as I said, and a few other different things, key rings and stuff like that. But just something for people to have if they want it. But anyway, guys, thanks for the chat. It's been great to have you all back on and have a chat with everyone. And thanks to Pete Weber for letting everyone know we're going to be launching this comp again on the Facebook page, All Things Bulldogs. Make sure you join that. We're getting close to 5,000 members now. We like that size. We let on less people than we approve. I mean, we approve less than we dismiss. So, you've got to love the Bulldogs. You've got to have a respect for everyone in the club and not be a negative Nancy all the time. There's other places where you can just go share your opinion if you want to slag people off. You know what I mean? That's not at all Things Bulldogs. Timmy says, thanks, Mick. Great listening to you, legendary champion. Well, it's great hearing for you. Thanks for your contribution tonight as well, Jeffrey, as well, D. Thank you so much again. I can't wait to have you guys on the podcast. It was good to see Jamie at the start. Hopefully some of the other dogs podcasts will start soon. I'm sure they'll be trying to launch some massive things, seeing that some of those podcasts are really intent on probably, making a career out of this, which is a good dream to have. And I hope that they are successful in it. And I'll definitely be watching on and subscribing to them. But as far as we go, we've got our little community and it gets bigger and bigger all the time. And, as I said, keep learning from each other. Keep being kind if you can. But someone needs to be told to fuck off. You tell them to fuck off. Anyway. Cheers, Mick. Catch you next time. See you next time, Jeffrey. Thanks for joining, mate. It's good hearing from you. And I'll talk to you all soon. Go the Bulldogs.